Hi, everyone. My name is Dustin Miles. I'm with Momentum Multifamily. Super excited to have Annette here today, another fellow Texan. Annette, if you want to kind of introduce yourself, super excited for you to be here. Love to learn more about you.
Yeah, totally, Dustin. Thanks for having me. Based out of San Antonio, I started my company, Covenant Capital, back in 2023. We are general partners in our first deal this year. My background is pharmaceutical sales, actually. So I've
Mm.
sold everything from fentanyl to insulin to weight loss drugs. And I'm actually still doing that in tandem with commercial real estate investing. So it is a wild ride. I got two little boys. I'm married. Um, yeah. So on most days, it's chaos, but it's so fun.
Good. Okay. Well, awesome. How I know you're in pharmaceutical sales. How long have you been in multifamily? Did you say?
So our journey started about 3 years ago. About
Oh wow.
3 years ago, I just decided we needed to figure out something that would work better. You know, when you're really successful at sales and you make a lot of money, you also pay a lot of taxes. And
Mm.
that goes for both my husband and I. And so we were just tired of being in the rat race. And it's a blessing. Don't get me wrong, it's a blessing. But we just wanted our money to work harder for us, is what it
Yeah.
comes down to. And when you start studying, like what wealthy people do, like where do they put? How do these people make so much money? We had no education in that area, so when we started studying them, I mean, it always just leads back to real estate. And that's something that at least I could get excited about. I couldn't understand. I can't figure out the stock market. I don't get that. I don't know how to options trade. It's very confusing for me. And so real estate sounded like the most fun. We just started educating ourselves. We started as limited partners with Mr. Grant Cardone about
Mm.
2 years ago, and then that kicked off our journey.
Oh, wow. Okay. I gotcha.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's interesting. I know for me, so I got in a multifamily, a little more on the passive side 12 years ago. And I remember, for me, I didn't realize this is something normal people could do. I thought you had to be ultra rich to, kind of get in a multifamily or it was a big company type of thing. I didn't
Yeah.
realize, normal people could participate and be involved.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even, the tax thing didn't even, and then I started learning about, the tax benefits too. And I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
so, um,
That isn't
well,
that mind bending. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but yeah, if you really study the tax code, and it's like a playbook on how to model your portfolio and how, I mean, they give you all the answers. Like
yeah,
this is what you need to do in order to pay the least amount or no taxes at all. And that's what a lot of people have done. I mean, for really wealthy people, they get a hard time. They're like, they pay no taxes. Well, it's just because they followed the playbook.
yeah, right, right, right. Yeah. Don't, yeah, exactly. So where do you guys invest and what cities have you I guess what cities have you guys invested in as far as being more on the GP fund to fund side?
Okay, so yep, San Antonio. San Antonio, which is where I'm based out of.
Okay.
The market that we currently look for deals and we underwrite in is the San Antonio Metro up to Austin and the I-35 corridor, which is basically the highway that connects San Antonio to Austin.
Okay. Awesome. And kind of what has your role been on as far as the deals concerned and all that?
Yeah, yeah. So coming into our latest deal as a partner was we raised equity, but now
Mhm.
on the more active side, it's a lot of investor relations, which I love.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Hmm.
And a lot of especially once you kind of go start to go network a little bit and if you're an LP or a passive investor, if you go to a conference or two,
Mhm.
you meet a lot of people that they could potentially invest with and all that. So, interested to hear if there's anything that you guys kind of feel, maybe set yourself apart from some other folks. I assume that people that are in a similar type of field as yours would obviously be kind of drawn towards you guys too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just anything if there's anything that you guys can kind of think of that maybe set yourself apart.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think the invest because if you're talking about it from an investor standpoint, I think
Hmm.
the investors that gravitate towards me are more high performing sales professionals, especially in the medical device pharma
Hmm.
industry. And so they have the same they have the same pains that I've felt and can still
Yeah.
feel with the high income, high taxes. Also, you know, it's interesting. It's like a hybrid being in pharmaceutical sales, medical device sales, because you're given a territory, you're told to run it like it's your own business. So you almost have this
Mhm.
entrepreneurial spirit within you, yet
Oh,
you're building. You're always capped. There's
yeah.
very few positions where it's like uncapped potential
Hmm.
in that field, and so you're working. It's meaningful work. You're doing great things, but you're working someone else's dream, and
Right.
you could just as not as easily. It takes a lot of hard work, but if you're going to be spending 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, chasing leads, helping people, providing that customer service, why not do it to build something that's for you and your family?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I never really thought about, I guess that makes sense, but yeah, I never really thought about, the in sales, hey, this is your territory, this is your business. And so I hadn't really thought about it that way. So that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that I didn't realize people are necessarily capped on what they can bring in too. So, huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
oftentimes. So let's say you knock it out of the park, you go 200% above your quota, but you're only going to get paid on like 120 above your quota. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Okay. Huh.
So if you
Okay.
have, if you, yeah, so driven professionals like that, they would be great also to enter in into multifamily as general partners or as operators one day because they have that, yeah, they have that drive, that grit, that determination because you're never going to just stop at 120. You're going to keep going because you want the awards, the accolades, the
Right.
trips. Yeah.
Right. Right. Gotcha.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Is what does your deal box look like? What are you guys looking for whenever you're looking at a potential deal to partner up on?
Yeah, great question. So, this last deal that we did back in February, so it's called Stratton Park. It's
Mm.
Class B, very established, 1980s vintage. It was the people that live there, the residents that live there are long term. They've been there for a long time. It's just a sweet little nestled away property that we loved. And
Oh,
so
good.
the first thing that we look for, I think, going forward, we're looking for definitely properties that cash flow. That's the whole point of getting into multifamily is the passive income. So that has to be there already. In this environment, the long term fixed debt, and in terms of the like class of property, so B, A, we're kind of leaning towards newer vintage, maybe
Mm.
2000s and above. Um, your portfolio is like that, Dustin. You have a beautiful portfolio. So like this that you buy. So yeah,
Yeah.
100 units plus. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
and you guys are mainly wanting to be in San Antonio or Austin?
San Antonio and Austin. Yeah, that's
Okay.
our main focus right now, and the tertiary
Cool.
markets in between. We're open to other ones. We're open to Houston and Dallas. There's fantastic opportunity in those markets as well. We just need to become more educated on the sub markets up there.
Right. right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the old adage that they say for single family, location, 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 it applies to multifamily too.
Mhm.
You can pour all this money into a property, but you can't change your location, can't change your schools, can't change your neighbors. So
Mm-mm.
you better really be sold on that area before you
Yeah.
go buy. So
Big time.
um,
Big
I,
time.
I I'm sure you talk to a lot of LPs, and I remember I've got not a ton, but I've gotten this question a handful of times, and the passive potential passive investor will be like, okay, this sounds good, but like, what should I be asking you about the deal?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna ask the same thing of you. Whenever LPs are looking at your one of your deals, is there something that you think that they should be, kind of asking you about the deal that maybe you feel is important?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So for me, for any GP, any sponsor, yeah, you need to grill them for sure. And the general partner or sponsor, they should feel happy to be transparent and get grilled because
Hmm.
we're coming out of a tough environment where
Hmm.
unfortunately some deals didn't perform that well, and perhaps the limited or perhaps the limited partner coming in or a new investor is cautious, and so yeah, it's very important to do your due diligence. So number one, ask you want to ask about their experience and the team's experience overall. So, how many deals have they done? How many have gone full cycle? How long have they been in that particular market? So, those kinds of questions. You also want to ask them about the underwriting and the underwriting that they did for the deal. So, again, what kind of debt did you underwrite with? What are your projections? Like how long? How conservative or perhaps aggressive are they being? So that's the second thing. You also want to ask about cash reserves. So again, and this
Hmm.
is me. I'm not by any means. I'm not a Grant Cardone. I'm not a Rod Khleif, but I am learning a lot of lessons from this previous cycle, and that seems to be a very important factor whenever you're putting together a team, and you want to make sure that you have a healthy um, you have a healthy team together in terms of cash reserves, so that you could weather a storm should one hit you in the market. And then I know that I would ask. I don't necessarily. Maybe somebody's track record would be able to. You would feel comfortable enough with just that, but I like to ask if they're invested in the deal themselves.
Mm.
If they have
Yeah.
skin in the game, like how much do you really believe in this deal? You're
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
me for 5, 6 figures. How much did you put in? I think that's an appropriate question to ask. You want to make sure that your interests are aligned with the team.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's are they going to eat their own cooking, or it's not whoops, not good enough for them, but good enough, So yeah, no, absolutely. That's what that's I don't know. I invest passively
Hmm.
as well, multifamily and some other stuff too. And yeah, I'm always, if they're not putting money in, it's like, okay, well, I don't know.
Exactly.
So
Why not?
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And on just kind of, a little more general, interested to hear what you like most about multifamily, and just kind of, love to kind of get your viewpoint on that.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look at it from my frame, the whole reason we even entered the real estate multifamily space was for the passive income, the cash flow.
Mm.
And so that's what I love about it, is that you can really scale into something very profitable and it's just a good place to build your wealth and to take your active income. Let's say, you make 200K a year and put a significant amount of that into something that just is a money machine for you. It's like creating little money machines, which is what I like. So I like the cash flow aspect, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, but it gets thrown around a lot, like, oh, the tax advantages, and but
Mhm.
no, seriously, it's like there is a the tax code is a playbook for how you need to model your finances, and if you do that appropriately by being an investor, building a business, providing a need, especially something as critical as housing for people, then you're going to get rewarded by the government
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
best
for sure.
way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still stuck on that image of a money machine. We, I was kinda thinking about that, and I remember when I first got into real estate, I I guess I kinda thought of, so if I invest in something, it's almost like
Mhm.
I'm have the income of a part-time job, but without the job part.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously there's, a little bit of work that, is involved in, and then you have to have capital too. But
Mhm.
I guess I always kind of thought of it, I always thought it was kind of neat to kind of think about that is,
Mhm.
there's, especially when I was a W-2 employee and all that, was, probably a little more of my mindset. But I remember I was
Mhm.
like, okay, well, I have my full-time job. And if I go invest in a few of these different places, I'm getting, kind of this monthly or quarterly cash flow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I have my full time job, but then I have a few part time jobs, but I don't have to go to those jobs, but I still get the money. So, um,
Yeah.
anyway,
It's a,
so yeah.
it's a good way to
Eh,
look at it.
yeah, yeah, it's, getting your money to work for you. So,
Mhm.
as opposed to the other way around. So,
Mhm.
are you part of I know you guys got in about 3 years ago, and you'd mentioned you'd, invested with Grant Cardone. Were you guys part of any mentoring program or coaching programs, or what kinda that journey look like for you guys?
Yeah, great question. So we thought about it. We thought about it, but as you know, because you've seen quite a bit of success in this arena, you really have to say no to some things and focus in where you're like on the steps that are going to help you to reach your goals faster. So, as much as we love Grant and his team, and that's why we put money with them too as limited partners, we knew that we only wanted to, or at least we wanted to start our journey in our backyard in San Antonio and
Mhm,
Austin. And so we wanted to look for a mentoring program that was local because we need to build local relationships with the
mhm,
brokers, with our partners, with the vendors, with we want to be able to walk properties, and so we looked for a mentorship program over here, and it's called Apartment Educators. It was founded
oh, yeah.
yeah, it's founded by Mr. Devin Elder and Ruben Dominguez. Both of them are highly successful multifamily operators in San Antonio and the Hill Country, and they have a fantastic track record. That was another thing too. So we knew we wanted a mentorship program locally, but we wanted to learn from some of the best in the area, and so that's why we just joined that one.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like, that was one thing that, I guess was fortunate about 'cause I was in a few different groups. I started out in did some single family groups, and then I
Mm-hmm.
did Lifestyles Unlimited, and then I went through Brad Sumrock's program. But I was very fortunate, similar to the stuff you were looking for. They were all local,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course, I'm in Fort Worth, so I had to drive 45 minutes to an hour to Dallas, but
Yeah.
relatively, I mean, it's not like I was in California and having to fly in. That's a lot more
Right.
challenging. So,
Sure.
um,
Sure.
yeah, so that's awesome. Do you have any favorite, books, podcasts, anything that you'd like to share? And then if there's anything that you've listened to more than once, then I'd be
Mm-hmm.
super interested to hear about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, in terms of podcasts, and this is really where I started my educational journey, because
Mm,
as a pharma rep, you drive a lot. You're just a
right.
glorified
Yeah.
truck driver, so you drive around a lot. And so I listened to. I started with Best Ever, Bigger pockets is okay if you want to do the smaller multifamily. They don't really focus too much on larger multifamily, but bigger
Mm,
pockets is good. It's good content. Um, and then I really like Old Capital. They're based
mhm.
out of Dallas, I think.
Yep, yep.
Old Capital podcast is good, and then Lone Star Capital, and those are
Got
all, yeah, Lone Star, those are all based out of Texas.
right.
So that in terms
Gotcha.
of podcasts, that's good stuff. And books. So right now I am reading this book. I'm not done with it yet, but it's called Thou Shall Prosper, and it was written
Mm.
by a rabbi, Daniel Lapin. Have you heard of this before?
I have not, no,
No.
no.
Okay. So it's basically wealth, like wealth strategies. It's like the 10 Commandments on how to build wealth, but written based off of ancient like Jewish tradition. And so
Oh, wow.
it's so interesting because you
Yeah.
always wonder, like, okay, how are the Jewish people like, like they figured it out? They're all like business owners, bankers, real estate. They're super wealthy. They're in Hollywood. Like, how do they do this? And so the Jewish tradition, they look at money completely differently. I mean,
Mm,
money is a good thing. It's a gift from God. It's wealth is bestowed upon you by God so that you can be a steward of it and you can bless other people with it, and you can build business is good. Like every person needs to strive to build their own business, because if you do that, you're actually providing a service. You're helping your
mm.
fellow man, and that's a biblical principle also. And so, like we are, like common tradition now in the U.S. is like you don't talk about money, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about what's the third one? Money, politics, religion.
Yep,
Well, yeah.
yep, yep.
So not with the Jews. They talk about money. They talk about their business all the time. They promote themselves because they're eager to help people. That's what it is.
Yeah,
They're eager to
yeah.
help you. So it's mind blowing. I'm only halfway through it, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to go
Yeah.
on my reread list.
Yeah, I'll have to check I've never heard of that before, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine, actually last night, and we were talking about, before kind of getting into the multifamily circles, like, people would never talk about I didn't no one ever talked about money, at least in the circles I was in, like, when I was in a W-2 job and all that, so it's funny to I remember, a big difference was, whenever I was stepping into the multifamily world and, people talked about money, I'm like, "Whoa, I'm not used to this. Are we allowed to do this?" You know? So, so just yeah, it's interesting, just kinda, different circles and all that, so,
Yeah, and if I could
yeah.
expand on that too, that I've noticed that too. It's a lot of talking about ideas
Mhm.
in this real estate space. It's not like there's no time to waste talking about like meaningless stuff, you know? We don't talk about people, nobody talks about the weather. Like we
Yeah.
get right to it. It's ideas, it's great conversations, it's being challenged a little bit too on your beliefs, which
Mhm.
I enjoy. So it's a higher caliber of conversation. And another thing I will say too, a lot of people willing to help. There's
Right.
been like the culture in the multifamily space is something really special. And you asked what I love about multifamily earlier. That's another thing. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's fantastic.
Yeah, again, another to kinda tack on to that, yeah, there's definitely more of an abundance mindset,
Hmm.
stepping into this realm versus I remember being in the W-2 realm, it's like, "Mine, mine, mine," "I'm not gonna tell you what's going on because it's mine, it's a definitely more of a scarcity, mentality. It wasn't always that case, but it was much more so than I feel like in the multifamily arena for sure. So,
Big time.
yeah. Uh, so kind of looking, goals and kind of looking out a little bit, what does 2024 look like for you? Or if you want to kind of touch on, maybe what things might look like in the next few years for you guys. Would love to see what the future looks like for you.
Yeah, yeah. So 2024, well, I'm sure, like, Dustin, for the next, 18 months or so, it's going to be a huge opportunity in terms of buying
Hmm.
multifamily real estate in Texas. And so we're looking to do at least a couple more deals this year as general partners. And so that is partnering up with other sponsors in the area. And so that's the goal for this year, at least two more deals. And then looking out into the future, I mean, why did we even get into business, or this business in particular, to begin with? Well, we wanted more freedom. We wanted not just freedom with our in terms of money and finances, but we want more freedom of time. I
Mm.
have two small boys, so I have a 2 year old and a 5 year old. And in 5 years, I would love to just be able to do commercial real estate full time, help as many people as I can through that avenue. A big part of our company also is working with a couple of different charities in the area. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so we're driven a lot by that freedom to be as philanthropic as we want to be.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and travel. Yeah, that's the goal, just to be able to be free, untethered, travel, have new experiences as a family.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that. Yeah, my son's a little bit older. He's 12. He'll be 13 here in a few months, which is he's full on like teen mode. But yeah, but to kind of similar point. So with him, I only have really, 5, 6 years before he's out of the house, and so, every summer, counts, at least in my head, so I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna do this and this and this," and, so yeah, just,
You are not going
you're
to camp. You are staying with me.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. Well, he is we are putting him he's going to, two band camps, but,
Oh, nice.
um yeah, yeah, so he's excited about that, but yeah, for the most part, very intentional about, "Hey, bud, we're doing this and this and this," and because
Right.
you only get so many years, and then they're out of the house, then they're off kinda living their own life, so,
Yeah.
um, or at least, I guess hopefully. But, at the same time, while I'm here, so it's tough. But, um,
Mhm. Mhm.
as far as, you know, curious if you have you guys have gotten going and, you're out there making it happen, and, contributing, to the world and kinda lifting up your family, at the same time, a win-win.
Mhm.
Is there any advice that you have for someone looking to do what you guys do, kinda do, be GPs or fund to funds or
Mhm.
both? What is any advice for those folks?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, today they could just start educating themselves. Read as many
Mm,
books on the topic as possible. Read it or listen to as many podcasts as possible. That's free, and
yep.
you just find that time when you're, you know, cleaning, or whenever you're doing on the road or whatever. So that's free. That's something you can do right now today. The second thing I would highly recommend is a mentorship program. I mean,
Mm,
that's if you want to take like years worth of education and just compress it into someone else's like someone else can give all that to you in this short of a time frame. And so that'll be like a turbo booster to get you where you want to go next. And I mentioned earlier, like just the contacts, just the network that you will create just from a mentorship program
mm,
alone. It's just so valuable. So spend the money. If you've never done it before, it hurts, but you'll get over it, and then you'll love doing it. And then be okay with investing in yourself constantly. It doesn't even have to be multifamily related. Growth conferences, books, just any way that you can infuse yourself with knowledge and get yourself around smarter and smarter people than you. That's it's like the ultimate life hack for building wealth and building a business.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm like, if you think about it, books or, and like you mentioned, podcasts are free. But with books, for instance, you're like, okay, this person is very successful at whatever they are, whatever they're doing, and for $20, I can learn everything that it's taken them a lifetime to learn. Like, I mean, that's a bargain.
Market.
So,
Exactly.
anyways, but yeah, really appreciate your time, and feel free to give out, if you want to give out your email or website or whatever, so people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the name of our company is called Covenant Capital of Texas. Our website is covenantcapitaltx.com. You can find my calendar there. You can find my email and all my contact information on there. Feel free to reach out, especially if you are someone that's looking to get into a GP role or even just get started in multifamily investing. All of those resources that we talked about, I'd be happy to send to you. Or you can just follow me on LinkedIn. I'm at Annette Hemmert on LinkedIn, and I post a lot of great educational content and wealth building content on there on a daily basis.
On that point, I was going to mention real quick. I know when I pull up LinkedIn, I feel like I'm seeing you quite a bit now. So I don't know if the the algorithm or whatever is, yeah, maybe I guess working, or you're posting a certain, but anyways, great job. I'm seeing you on LinkedIn quite a bit. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
So well, I appreciate your time today. Feel free to be sure to connect with Annette. Super friendly, great person, and they're getting after it and getting it done. So, if you want to, learn more, she's boots on the ground in San Antonio, knows that area really well. So feel free to reach out to Annette and be sure to follow her on LinkedIn. So appreciate it, Annette. Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin. Take
Have a
care.
great day.
You too.
Bye.